Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here, back at it again today with something that I think everybody's going to like. Name the most iconic duo in your campaign. Come on, I'll wait for it, baby. And, of course, please make sure in the comments below to let us know your iconic duos. Gary and Artie, the classic rogue and bard duo affectionately called Gardy. Artie does the distractions and Gary picks the pockets of the distracted. They're otherwise polar opposites, Artie being a very clean and proper guy, while Gardy is a little bit gross and unkempt. Yet, they still manage to become the best of friends over their mutual enjoyment of stealing from rich folk. I mean, yeah, that's a big frickin' mood. Who doesn't like taking from the rich and then, screw giving it to the poor, put it in your own pockets. Rune and Hamoth, the halfling druid and the really tall Aasimar, I think, cleric. My favorite story with these two comes from one of the early sessions in our campaign. They went shopping in a general store together, well, sort of. Rune was in trouble with the law and was hiding under Hamoth's jacket, holding on to his wings. His wings were wounded from a long time ago in his backstory and dragged behind him. Hamoth was a bit of an awkward guy, so Rune decided to pull a Ratatouille moment and help Hamoth by controlling some of his movements with his wings. Hamoth's movements were clumsy and exaggerated. He was bent in half to look closer at something waist-high, leaned back far, staring at the ceiling, and flailing his arms around every now and then. These movements caused the shopkeep, it was a very small store and they were the only ones in it, to be nervous the whole time, as you would be, especially since Hamoth was talking semi-normally and trying to carry on a normal conversation. At the end, Hamoth, with his booming voice, said, "Thank you for letting me shop peacefully." What makes this even better is the guy that was playing Hamoth got up from the table to act out the movements in real life, and would spontaneously move whenever my sister, who was playing Rune, would pretend to pull on Hamoth's wings. Everyone not involved was laughing their heads off, and we actually had to take a 5-minute break after because we couldn't stop laughing. Well, I have two iconic duos, so I'll talk about both. Gnai and Harath, the Bard and Barbarian combo. The quick-thinking man with a plan, and the spells and words to get them out of the plan when it failed, and the gentleman who continually chose violence and won despite the odds rarely being in his favor. These two are me and my buddy's characters. We met in a West Marches server. They work to keep each other safe and help each other make their dreams come true, such as Gnai wanting to own a tavern, while Hroth wanted to own a blacksmithing forge. Nice combo. They went through quite a few campaigns and West Marches together before finally retiring. Mutari and Adam are another pair. Originally, they were made as references to Nora Valkyrie and Lai Ren from RWBY or Ruby as best friends who could do anything for each other when the shit hit the fan. Mutari was a barbarian who later went bard because she would rather give people a second chance if they were being led by bad people. She was a force of nature who ended up with mercenary band of at least 100 reformed bandits of varying skill sets. She cared for each one, constructing a castle and having diamonds set aside to revive any of those who fell in battle and could be saved. Each group was even supplied a scroll of gentle repose, in case someone had died and had to be carried back to the castle. She later brought an airship and went into business with Adam to make airships a normal thing. Now Adam, on the other hand, was a monk fighter with dips into cleric for story reasons. After saving some orphans, he started an orphanage. In addition, he was a smuggler and very much into mercantile. He managed to spread his business across town, his influence growing as he built shopping stalls and marketplaces, brokering trade deals with other towns and cities, and exclusively trading rare goods himself before becoming a fairly wealthy entrepreneur and going into business with Mutari, supplying food for her mercenaries at the cost of them protecting his shipments. All in all, these two characters essentially ruled the newly founded continent their town was on, all because of their skill sets and those connections that they made. They also acquired a large, massive, huge load of treasure for killing a CR-24 creature. Zephyr and Draydon. Oddly enough, my friend and I's characters ended up being perfect opposites, so we all just kinda ran with it. Zephyr, myself, a noble high elf who made a pact with a void deity. Think, well, eldritch horrors, but if they actually knew what was going on, in order to gain enough power to take back his noble house. Draydon, a half-orc paladin of Tyr who is turning his tribe away from slaughter to the light of Tyr. One of us wields shadow magic while the other one wields burning light. Oh, I promise we didn't talk about our characters beforehand, it just turned out that way. Also, never make a deal with a deity that's evil. I have plenty of iconic trios in the long-running campaign myself and my online friends play. It's not traditional TTRPG, but I digress. As for duos, however, only one really comes to mind for me personally. There's my ever-shining star I like to tell occasional stories about from time to time. Torch. Spunky. Depressed sometimes. Occasionally likes to explode into a fiery rage, quite literally. To give a rough recap for those who don't know, Torch is a Kirby who is skilled with pyrokinetics and a sword. Again, we don't play a traditional TTRPG. The oldest character in our cast in terms of when we created them, and the character I put most of my heart and soul into, both as a storyteller and as a player DM. Although I try not to make plots all about Torch. Now, there's this old friend of theirs, Marie Bonnie. She's a murder angel with a gun, to give you the most simplified explanation of what Marie's like, and no, that's not an exaggeration. She is literally a 4-foot-tall angel who murders in cold blood, most of the time anyway. I'm not going to tell stories of recent plots, as they aren't complete yet and are unimportant to what I'm talking about right now. Now, these two aren't the best friends per se. Marie's got Torch's sister Glowstone as a not partner, and Torch has two other characters, SLG4 and Charlie, as a part of their best friend trio. However, with how these two have interacted throughout their time together, reconciling their fragmented friendship after an incident with a portal, again, long story, being an occasional duo who specialize in badassery and bloodshed, and generally having been there since the beginning, where we had to save Charlie from possession by an ancient demon god. Again, long story. These two have become some of the icons of this game for me. I know iconic duos are typically people who have more chemistry and vibe with each other, as if they were not partners or siblings or the like. But, to be honest, the duos we have like those in our game aren't entirely interesting. Or at least not in the way I find Torch and Marie's dynamic interesting. Hey, tell us a little bit more about it. My campaign is called Humble Beginnings, in case I ever tell more stories, which you better because we want to hear about them. I have the best players ever. From session 1, my group loved to roleplay without being prompted to. They have literally talked for an hour all in character, which is great for a new DM like me. This has led to amazing character development and interesting inter-party relationships. Everyone is kind and enjoys playing with one another, no matter the drama or jokes. We all make sure everyone is alright and okay with what happens in-game. So, just know that this is all in character. The iconic duo are Foxglove, the half-elf ranger, and Vrock, the necromancer goblin. Honestly, I can't remember how it all started, but these two are constantly nipping at each other. Vrock, the necromancer, is a chaotic evil screamer, while Foxglove is a bit more down-to-earth. Just a bit, mind you. But Foxglove is constantly picking on Vrock, who, in return, vows bloody revenge for her hideous machinations and trickery. A while ago, Vrock's player had to step away for a bit due to IRL stuff. While he was gone, Foxglove began a small project. She was close friends with a carpenter, almost like a third father to her. She had two dads. Foxglove used her skill to whittle small wooden figurines of Vrock as a, well, gift. The little goblin is an immensely paranoid individual. He assumed it was a trap or cursed item. He spent days in-game trying to learn what they did, using his knowledge in dark magic to find their secrets. Eventually, Vrock gave up and asked Foxglove what they did. "Oh, nothing," she said. "What?" Vrock stared at her. "Yeah, they don't do anything," she smiled. "What?" The second action Foxglove constantly does is have her pet Growlithe, yes, my world does have Pokemon in it too, because Foxglove wanted a Growlithe, tackle the poor goblin. The Growlithe, like many puppies, is incredibly friendly and loves licking faces. This usually ends up with Vrock shouting, "The beast! It has returned!" And a reminder, this is all good fun for the players, no true animosity, of course. But now, Vrock only trusts Foxglove because she's a member of the party while she thinks of him as a friend. I could go on, but this was too long as is. Absolutely not. Tell us more stories about Vrock and Foxglove. Mr. Torg, a super energetic, positive, man-muscular monk barbarian. Watch some cutscenes from Borderlands 2 if you don't know the character. And a bird. Just a sentient, football-sized bluebird with a large beak who was actually a barbarian as well. It was abnormally powerful for its size, but was feeling ashamed of not being able to fly. Oh, it's kind of sad. And that's where the magic of friendship happens. Mr. Torg immediately became best friends with the bird and was carrying him on his shoulder. And once a battle occurred, Mr. Torg's first turn was always yeeting the bird into the enemies like a terrifying, sharp-clawed, wall-crushing, swearing cannonball. Yes, it was dealing a lot of impact damage, plus claw attack. And it was awesome. This is like a really ass-backwards version of Banjo-Kazooie, and I love it. Nock and Staria. My character, Nock, is a kobold artificer, and my wife's character, Staria, is a tiefling druid. Staria wild shapes into a dire wolf. Nock hops on the wolf, or in some cases is thrown on by her. Both have pack tactics, and since we both get advantage on attacks, we rarely miss. Once we hit level 4, I'm going to take the mounted combatant feat since my armor is better and try to get her to take mobile or charger for that extra movement or damage. Dorjor, the drunken monk elf who was raised by dwarves. Yes! And then we have Bold, the drunken monk kobold who is smaller than the average kobold. Bold never leaves Dorjor's side. They fight together and cause all sorts of shenanigans. Bold is our mascot, but is Dorjor's drinking buddy. My first character I ever made and accidentally killing everyone he comes across. Literally the most iconic in my entire group. Okay, jokes aside, but for me, it is still that first character who is named Oros and an NPC ally named Sub, who is essentially a living, sentient dragon plushie. While Oros is usually nice but can be brutal since he keeps killing almost everyone by accident, Sub is literally the definition of an innocent being with way too much power and is essentially considered Oros' son, which even the DM states, "Aww, it's like a match made in heaven." Hey everybody, Brian Von Vie here, checking in after the vid. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and of course leave a comment down below telling us about your iconic duos. We really want to know about the communication and, of course, the love, or even the absolute hatred and maniacal menagerie that is going on behind closed doors, because, let's face it, some of these characters that are interacting with each other will make the best of memories, and we want them to be shared here too and immortalized on YouTube forever. That said, I love you all. Please remember to stay safe, be happy, eat something really hearty today, and take a nice big drink of water. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.